The last project for this class is creating a short scene, with the premise being to have Norman push a heavy granite block off the screen. Since this scene plays out a little drama of man versus granite block, we'll need to discuss a little storyboarding techniques and some acting considerations you will need. The animator is truly an actor, and as such, the animator must take into consideration good basic acting skills. No matter what parallel universe is created on the screen, good acting convinces an audience that a character in that universe actually exists. In essence, acting is basically reacting, and this reaction to stimulus begins in the brain. What the character is thinking must be portrayed on his face and body language. A good animator, like a good actor, must observe people and animals and try to figure out what they are thinking by how they appear. When an animator is cast for a part, you must begin to really know the character you will become in the scene. If the character's backstory doesn't exist, create one. Determine what makes him tick, what excites him, what makes him mad, what makes him unique. Animation is a bit like the old-time silent movies. We use the entire body, not just the face, to show our character's emotions. You must be clear with the pose so that the audience can easily see what the character must be thinking when he poses the way he does. Animators must push the emotion. Animation acting is not copying reality. Copying is boring. Animation is a caricature of life, not actual life. Your characters must also show a range of emotions, not be one-dimensional, such as the villain who eats people but loves little dogs, or the hero who doesn't hesitate to fight crime but is afraid of getting a shot from a nurse. We're going to switch gears now and talk a little about storyboarding, because your final project is a scene that should have a complete thought. That is, a beginning, a middle, and an end. In other words, a story. Every scene you animate is telling a story or a piece of a larger story. You are always creating animation for an audience, not for yourself. So there has to be a plan to present a clear storyline, and that plan is called a storyboard. When speaking of storyboarding, we are not speaking of comic book art. Comic books are an interactive storytelling medium. The reader can ponder each piece of art for as long as they wish, and even go back and forth revisiting panels. Movies are a linear presentation of storytelling. Each shot advances the next one until the story is finished. The viewer must just sit and watch the story unfold. Storyboards are then visual scripts. They are based on a written script. They are the money and time saver for the producer and director, and they are used to convince the money people to continue to fund the project. There are many little things to consider when creating a storyboard, but there are 6 major things for you to consider when boarding project number 5. It is very helpful to step back from thinking animation to thinking filmmaking. What is the reaction of the audience to what they are seeing through the lens of the camera? The camera's eye is the eye of the audience. First is how far the camera is away from the action. A long shot is used to show the audience where the story is being told. A medium shot is a bit closer and usually shows some specific action. A close-up shot is the payoff or punchline to a piece of action business. These 3 types of shots can be jockeyed around in any order desired to tell the particular story you want the audience to see. Next is the height of the camera's eye in relation to the subject and its effect on the audience. A low-angle shot with the camera looking up at the subject produces the effect that the subject is more important than the audience. If the camera is at eye level with the subject, the audience feels that it is just as important as the subject in the scene. Put the camera at a position where it is looking down on the subject, a high-angle shot, and the audience feels it is more important than the subject. This is sometimes called the God shot. The camera, which represents the physical audience, can either put the audience at a distance to observe the scene unfold, called an objective viewpoint, or actually put the audience in the scene as a participant. This is called a subjective viewpoint. The objective viewpoint treats the audience as a secret onlooker or eavesdropper. The subjects in the scene don't pay any attention to the audience. With the subjective viewpoint, the audience can climb stairs, be punched or shot at, or talked to. The audience and the subjects are in the scene together. The camera can move during a shot, but it must move for a reason, or it can seem to the audience as confusing and amateurish. Panning is when the camera moves horizontally. This can be used if the camera can't get back far enough for a long shot to establish a location. Or panning from one area to another can be used to change the atmosphere of the scene, such as panning from a mansion to a man living in a cardboard box by the side of the road. Tilting the camera up or down can be used to follow the movement of a subject, like an outside elevator. Or tilting can be used to also show a change in atmosphere of a scene. Of the three camera movements, zooming must be very judiciously used so as not to seem to the audience like it is viewing a poorly made home movie. There are two basic reasons to zoom. First is to zoom in to emphasize a subject or action. The second is a zoom out to reveal a subject or action. Before zooming, you must decide whether a simple cut to a medium shot or close-up is better than the zoom. Now we need to incorporate these camera shots and angles and heights into a storyboard. There are three types of storyboards that are made, and each one has a specific presentation purpose. First is the thumbnail storyboard. This type uses small rectangles so that not much detail can be drawn. It is designed to be a brain dump for ideas. The drawings are sketchy, and the only requirement is that the subjects can be identified and the action is clear. Thumbnails are the first level of storyboard creation. The next board is a rough storyboard. This is drawn on larger panels so a little more detail can be shown. The subjects are better defined, the background is identifiable, and even some shading can be used. These are the last boards that are created for most theatrical films. The final storyboard can be a work of art. These are more detailed to the extent that in television animation, they are sent to an animation contractor. The panels are enlarged, and the drawings are used to create the key poses. Final boards can be black and white or color. The color boards are mostly used in advertising agencies to persuade a client to produce a commercial. Using all you have learned in the past 4 weeks, your last project will be in 3 parts. The objective is for you to create a scene wherein Norman confronts a heavy block of granite that he must push off the screen with his bare hands. No props or equipment. The scene should be at least 10 seconds long. This does not give you very much time for Norman to play around in the scene. This project is spread over 3 weeks. The first delivery will be a thumbnail idea of your scene. The following week will be the completion of your key poses and X sheets. And the final week is production of the in-betweens and pencil tests. In order to create the thumbnail storyboard, use the template found in the assignments for week 5. For a 10-second scene, you will probably only need 1 thumbnail template. Your next effort is to create all the key poses and fill in the X sheets for timing. Deliver your pencil test on the final week. Understand that an 8-week class has covered a lot of information, and that this pencil test is a version 1. It will probably have poses and timing issues that will need to be fixed. They will be critiqued, and you can take that information to revisit the project on your own time and correct them to make them as perfect as you like.